making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And we're speaking with Davia Ellis. She's a creative health educator. She's a multi-potentialite, and she's also Miss Jamaica United Nations. Welcome, Davia.
Thank you, Lady Daly.
So tell us a little bit though about Miss Jamaica United Nations, because I believe based on my search, you have that pageant coming up in Peru in November, yes, of this year. Tell us a
Oh
little bit
yes,
about
oh
that
yes.
before we get into the conversation.
How did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
Especially since, well, from NCU days, I would have been engaged heavily in community service.
Yeah.
Plus, I wrote a song during the pandemic because I wanted to embrace my multi-potentiality, my multifaceted self. And I wanted my song to be played at this pageant because I had seen Tony and Layla in the pageant, the Farm Queen.
Okay.
So conversations to have my song played at the pageant led to me becoming the official representative to represent Jamaica in the World Finals in Peru this November.
Nice, nice, nice. Congratulations. So you
Thank
actually segued or kind of gave people an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to about life as a multi-potentialite. Tell us what that is.
All right. So a multi-potentialite is really a word that can be in the education field and the field of psychology. You
Okay.
are a multi-potentialite. I am one as well because we engage in two or more interests, passions, or skills, and it allows us to fulfill ourselves, to achieve a sense of fulfillment. And I would say I feel self-actualized every day, even when I'm not making any money. All the activities that I do are
Mm-hmm.
meaningful, and that's one of my stress management strategies to carry me through life.
You almost answered what I was about to ask. How does being a multi-potentialite, and you just gave us a content in terms of what that means, how can that negatively impact your relationships, whether personally or professionally?
Yes, it can negatively impact your relationships because let's say I'm a full-time teacher,
Mm-hmm.
my persona or my personality at school will be different from the one I will take out into the streets if I'm writing an article for the Jamaica Observer. And I can get overly top excited and very outgoing if I have to be moderating or singing. So sometimes we can seem like different persons to different people in different settings.
Mm-hmm.
That can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but it's good to know what you are and what you want. Outside of that, some people might feel as if a multi-potentialite is scatterbrained,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't know what they want. But really and truly, you do have some persons, for example, as a full-time teacher, I am able to embrace my multi-potentiality as a full-time teacher. When I taught in Colombia in 2017, there was a class I taught wherein they couldn't find anybody to teach that class. And they said that I was the only teacher walking up and down, smiling and singing. And I was a perfect fit to teach English to a group of grade one students who didn't know, they knew little to no English, right? And I was able to sing and dance through my lessons until those students were able to verbalize perfect sentences. So There are challenges, but there are many advantages.
Okay. So let's then talk a little bit about the advantage. What are some of the advantages, specifically in your relationships, being a multiple potentialite? I'm getting myself accustomed to that term. Yeah.
Right.
How
So
then can that
whether we
impact
want to use the word
positively? Mm-hmm.
multi-potentialite, multi-passionate, multifaceted, and some people even become polymaths because they become experts in practically 2 to 3 different areas.
Hmm.
Some of the benefits include being great leaders because multi-potentialites are able to connect the dots. We've seen it. We've seen leaders who might have had extensive experience in 2 to 3 areas and they're able to lead a team
Mm-hmm.
because of those experiences, right? So generalists are important, right? Multi-potentialites make great generalists, great leaders. And of course, I don't want us to make the specialists feel as if they are not important or we are more than, but even specialists can embrace their multi-potentiality. Multi-potentialites are pretty flexible, pretty adaptable
Mm-hmm.
because we are accustomed to transferring knowledge, transferring skills. And I must tell you that I presented on this topic on Saturday at the Get Summit, a global teachers conference. And one of the strengths that I wanted to leave with everybody is for us to get students to start
Embracing
appreciating
it.
their multi-potentiality. When I taught in Colombia, the schedule actually facilitated each student to be engaged in an extracurricular activity. How
Nice.
I see it right now in Jamaica, some students cannot afford the extracurricular activity. And sometimes it is this extracurricular activity that will allow the students to embrace their multi-potentiality. The students come into the high school system and they choose a subject,
Mm-hmm.
and that subject is supposed to answer that question that even some adults cannot answer. What do you want to be when you grow up? And it's a simple question, but it can become a challenge.
Yes.
So in order for us to allow students and even adults to embrace their strengths and and all the advantages that come with being a multi-potentialite, we have to also change our language.
Mm-hmm.
So the
That's
question
true.
might be, so which skills, interests, or talents would you like to explore for now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because really and truly, the idea of taking on, of saying, oh, I want to be a teacher forever can seem very overwhelming sometimes for
Yes.
multiple. So
Yes.
those are some of the things that we can do, just small, simple things we can do to encourage our youth to embrace their multi-potentiality. And of course, it might just help some to not chalk the line, as you know, scamming is very, very popular in the country. But when you really look at it, what's positive about it? People do have some sort of skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we need to be able to express those skills in a multifaceted sense. So romanticizing the idea of one true calling
Mm.
is not always the best thing to do for everybody.
You've probably been dabbling in several things and you think that, oh, you need to focus on that one thing. But maybe it is that you're a multi-potentialite. We're going to continue the conversation and maybe you'll find out if that's what you are. But we must take a break and get a word from our partners.
Sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
I recently have been coached by the great Miss Noreen Daly. I own a video company. I'm also an online influencer. So I do a lot of speaking virtually and in person. She was able to point out some of my weaknesses that I didn't yet notice. And I 100% recommend Miss Noreen Daly as your coach.
Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors. Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Photography is an art. But more so, photography must come from the heart. Precious moments, priceless times. Take a pic and know it will turn out fine.
BMC Photography JA. Beautiful moments captured. Let's go.
Friends for life won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
Multifaceted, multi-potential, multi-potentialite. That's what we're talking about. Welcome back to the conversation. I'm listening and I'm thinking, how then do we help to almost go against the grain, so to speak, and just change that so people can embrace that even more? Not just even in our school system, but in Jamaica, and I'm sure in other countries as well, the church does play a critical role. So how then can you then say to others, how do we get people to embrace this? Because it will then impact on our relationships. Because, my focus or my interest is usually in terms of how all of this then, on the relationship with ourselves and otherwise. So how can we then have people embrace this whole idea though? Because somebody listening and saying, but I in my mind, this young person or just this individual just seems a little unsettled since it is that they're trying to dabble in so many areas. But you're then saying, no, it's not that. It's just that that's just them living how they are being true to themselves. How can we change that, so to speak, or help to educate people along that lines, Davia? Because I really think it's important.
Right. So, number one, it's good that we are having this discussion. The fact that I was able to present on it at a global teachers conference, that's also a plus. So having more conversations is always perfect.
Okay.
I also see where I have maybe some connections online who have tweaked their status and you see they put multi-potentialites. For example, I see Empress, as the Empress have multi-potentialite, and a few other people that they have started to put it there.
Nice.
Though the word, the word is still getting there. Lots of research will have to evolve on the word over time. But the multi-potentialites are out here, and the lady Emily who did the TED Talk helped to popularize the word. So that's one thing we can look at, being able to attach multi-potentiality to our identity. It can show another way. Wow, the Miss Jamaica United Nations lady is a multi-potentialite. Oh, that radio host, she identified as one. Ubuntu, I am because we are. That's very important. It's very important.
Okay. As we're wrapping up the conversation, Davia, when did you get to the point where you embraced, say, hey, Davia is a multi? When did you get to that point in your own journey?
Oh boy, in the year 2017, I would have been walking around with a first degree in psychology, a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. And I realized that, especially while doing a lot of community service work, talent was buck. I could be speaking, singing, organizing, and doing all of that. But a part of me wanted to know, who am I outside of all of these things? Because based on what we were taught, you need to find that one thing, right? That one true calling, and I couldn't find it. Mind you, I tried to apply for teaching jobs in Jamaica, but I was getting so many teaching offers overseas to teach English. So upon arriving in Colombia, to find myself in about 2 weeks, I recognized that myself was not lost. I didn't need to be found, because everything that I was doing in Jamaica, I found myself doing it in Colombia as well. I was on stage singing Spanish songs, even when I didn't know what some of them meant sometimes. When I wasn't teaching, I was still speaking, and I was still encouraged to write. So I would say it is in 2017 when I moved to Colombia, trying to just take away everything that was ever introduced to me. And more and more, I found other persons who are like myself as well. But it takes a lot of deliberation and focus. This year, I even created a multi-U planner. I created a multi-U planner that I will make available on my website. Well, it is available on the website if people subscribe. That's one thing I've tried to do. I'm also aware of shiny object syndrome. You see, we're ending January now, and I have not necessarily set any New Year's resolution, because this idea of shiny object syndrome will naturally have us. It's because we're always learning, and we always want to grow and develop ourselves and so on. I told myself that I am not adding anything new to my list.
Interesting.
And not having, so I'm coping with shiny object syndrome. And of course, what's the other syndrome people always talk about? Imposter syndrome. Yes. So, for example, maybe somebody put you up at a hotel for you to do a speaking engagement, and you're there saying, so okay, so these people really gonna sit and listen to me sing and speak and stuff. All right, then I guess we will do this kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. As we literally, close this episode, what's the one, you've said a lot, but what's the one idea? If they got nothing else from all that you said, what's the one idea you'd say, you got nothing else, this is one idea that I want to leave with you? What would that one idea be?
All right. That one idea I want to leave with people is that being multi-potentialite, or being multi-passionate, multi-talented, or multifaceted is not something that we should embrace to show off, right? It comes with its fair share of challenges, but it is just that one thing that I use to add meaning and value to my life. When I am stressed out about the educational aspect of my life, I know that I can take on the creative, artistic side. Or while I am teaching, I will use my 10 different accents. I'll sing my song. I will use my poems, and these things help me mentally. The fact that there's no single thing, no single passion, no single interest that should be stressing us out. We can always gather information from other fields and other industries to find that wholeness within us, and that sense of peace and fulfillment.
Thank you so much for sharing, Davia.
And thank you for having me, Lady Daly.
This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.